Hey Mason families, we're excited to end another week of learning here at Mason City Schools. Whether you're learning online or you're learning in person, we're excited to bring another week to close. And we're not just closing a week, we're actually closing an entire semester. We have made it through the entire first semester, and it has been a huge semester. As you know, there's been all kinds of changes and new things thrown at us, and one thing that I am so proud of is I am proud to work with an amazing staff at Mason City Schools, teachers and staff members that have come together to make this possible, for our students to continue to learn so that we can continue the Mason momentum that we all have come to love and enjoy and cherish. And so I am here with some friends today, as you probably noticed, and you want to introduce, what is your name?
William.
So this is William, and what is your name?
Sophia.
Sophia. So I brought some friends along because, you hear me talk a lot, and you probably want to hear some other voices. So William and Sophia, well, what grades are you in?
Second.
Second grade. And if someone asked you, what is something that you have enjoyed from this year? What's something you've enjoyed? Go ahead, William. You can start us off, and then we'll come to Sophia.
Math.
So you've enjoyed math. Okay. Sophia, what about you?
I've enjoyed reading books in the afternoon.
Enjoyed reading books in the afternoon. That sounds so delightful, Sophia. So, Sophia, tell me this. What are you grateful for? Why do you like reading books?
Well, when I read books, I like to think that I'm in the books and I'm the main character in it doing those things.
I love it. So you imagine yourself in the book as a character and connect with them, and so you're taking adventures through your books.
Yeah.
I love that. And William, how about you? What are things, I know you like math. Is there anything else that you want to make sure that you're telling us that you're thankful for?
I'm thankful for my mom and dad.
Yeah, your mom and dad. And your mom and dad probably helped you a lot this year in making sense out of the world that we're in. And do you want to say anything to your mom and dad?
You really helped me get through this year. It's been a hard year.
It's been a hard year, and I appreciate your honesty, William, because it has been a hard year, not just for staff and families, but for our students. And so it really does remind us that it takes a community for us to work together to continue to move forward. So one of the questions that I love to ask, and I know anytime I'm here at MECC, we like to talk about Comet Kid, and also, as we're coming up to a new year, 2020 is starting to come to a close, and we're heading into 2021, a new year. What are things that you've learned this year, Sophia, maybe about yourself as a learner, that is going to help you be a better, stronger learner in the next year to come, and maybe how does that connect to Comet Kids?
Well, I've learned that I have gotten a lot better at math because when my math gets really hard, I look onto the wall and I see Comet Kid, and I look at some of the mindsets around him, and then I try using one or two of them, and usually I end up getting most of the questions right.
Wow, so you use that picture of Comet Kid to remind you of mindsets that you get to choose as you're going through your math. Wow, that's a great example. I might have to use that for my own. William, how about you? Do you have any examples where you could see yourself learning some lessons this year that are going to help you to be a stronger learner and person in the next year?
Yes. Like in my reading, when there's like some harder words I can't really figure out, I look at the Comet Kid and I say to myself, be persistent, resilient, and bounce back and try again, and keep on going. And I find out what the word is.
And William, you were saying this has been a hard year, and you're thinking through persistence and resilience and all the words that you just used. Do you see connections there as well?
Yeah, it's really been hard this year, and I want people to know that this year has been really hard for everybody.
It has been hard for everybody, and everyone has had to show all of the things that you just mentioned, the mindsets from what we talk about here at MECC, the Comet Kid, right? Mm-hmm. Wow, that's amazing. And what about, Sophia, when you think of resilience and persistence and all these big words, are those words that mean something to you as well when you think about this whole year and how it's been hard?
Yes.
How have you seen yourself use these outside of learning?
Yes.
What can you give an example?
Well, I was at the store and I was looking around and I saw everyone with masks on, and it felt scary, but then I remembered that everyone's trying to be persistent and resilient at the time.
I love that, Sophia. It's a great example. When you first go in and you saw everybody with masks on, it can be a little scary because it's very different, but then you realize people are trying to be persistent in keeping each other safe in our community. And so I appreciate you sharing that. That's a great example of that. Well, guys, thanks so much for sharing with us some of your ideas. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, William. Hopefully, your next year, 2021, you're able to see those lessons strengthen your experience and continue to be strong learners and great, wonderful MECC community members. Okay? All right. As we come to the end of the first semester, as always, there's lots of questions about next semester and especially this year. So we'd like to go through some of the common questions that we've had that we can answer for you now. As you've heard us talk throughout the entire first semester, we reviewed multiple points of data on a regular basis, on a daily basis. We also have brought in medical experts to continue to help us along the way. That's a constant and ongoing conversation that I'm having with medical experts as well as our local health department. And so as we think about what would be the main reasons for us changing our course, there are multiple data points we look at. Some of the most significant data points that we watch closely would be, do we have enough staff to continue to operate safely for all of our students and staff? So for example, if we had spread go on in our community and we had enough staff members that could not make it into work, whether through quarantine or they have COVID-19, then we would not be able to keep our doors open. So that would be one point that would cause us to go in a different direction. And another significant data point that we're watching is if there's any spread within our schools. And so as we've shared with you before, we had one incident early on this semester where we did see some evidence of spread coming out of one classroom setting where there are students that just do not have the ability to wear their mask for the entire day because of some special situations. And as soon as we saw that evidence, we shut down that classroom for the appropriate amount of time so everyone was safe to return after the appropriate quarantine timeline. We also work with our local health department to make those decisions. So if we would ever see any significant spread, that would be another point of data that would cause us to go in a different direction. And we've had multiple examples of where we've used the data to shut down classrooms proactively, just to be ready, prepared, and that has kept us from having any spread beyond the one example that I shared with you. So we'll continue to monitor that data like we always have. We'll continue to work with all of our experts, and that's how we'll make decisions, and we'll always be very transparent and clear with you about those decisions so that you know what's coming your way so that it's as predictable as possible. Based on many trends that we have watched over the first semester, we have noticed that after Halloween and after Thanksgiving, we saw our quarantine numbers go up. And that has a big toll on our system. It has a large impact. And so one of the things that we would like to do as we come back after this 2-week break is have a staggered return. This staggered return allows us to ease into the second semester without getting behind on quarantine, without our numbers rising. We know that if we start on the 11th full with everybody back in person, that gives us that first week back to spread out our classrooms to help our students not be quarantined because of a positive case that might possibly pop up. And so keeping our classrooms spread out will allow us to slow down the amount of quarantines that we have so that we don't have students at home trying to connect with their classroom. That's one reason that we have this staggered return. Another really important reason is we have several online students coming back into person. I was just talking to a teacher who was giving their student a virtual tour of the building in preparation to come back here to MECC. We would like to give our students that are coming back in person in the second semester a similar experience to the students that started this year in person, where they come back with 50% of their class so they can orient, they can acclimate back into the regular setting, because that's a big transition from online first semester to in person. So that's another reason we're doing that. And the third reason is that RLE in the middle of the week, the reason that's important for us is we want to make sure we test our systems. So in the case that we would ever have to move to a remote learning situation, whether it's just a classroom or it's a building or it's a whole school system, we want to make sure our systems are working appropriately. It gives our teachers a chance to practice some of the RLE strategies. It also gives you as a family time to make sure that your systems are working at home and that your child is able to connect with us during that time. So that's the rationale or the reasoning behind why we put that week in place for right after the break. As you know, we've been very fortunate to be a part of a testing pilot program throughout the state of Ohio. 10 schools were selected to be a part of a COVID test pilot. And Mason City Schools has gone through that pilot over the last 4 weeks or so. And through that, we've had over 600 tests administered here at Mason City Schools. And out of the 600 tests, we have had around 9 positive cases. And some of those positive cases have come from the quarantine group. The students have been quarantined because of proximity, and then some have come from the comparison group. That would be the random sampling that's through our buildings. And so as you look at that data, over 600 data points and 9 positives, what the state will do with that in Ohio State University, they'll look at that along with the surveys and see what other events and things that the students that are participating are involved in, and they'll do an analysis. That analysis will be given to the governor. The governor will then make a decision with Ohio Department of Health on whether they want to adjust or make amendments to the approach to quarantine in schools across the state of Ohio, or there might be some other discussions that take place. Maybe they extend the study. So one of the things that I'm hoping for is to engage. I've had great engagement with Cincinnati Children's and Dayton Children's Hospital and experts from each of those groups along with Ohio State, and talking through extending and expanding the study as we come back into the new year, so we can continue to learn through that and help not just Mason City Schools understand what it takes to have a safe opening and a safe environment for students and staff, but also how can we help other schools across the state, possibly across the country, to learn more about what it looks like to have a safety bundle in place. And when I talk about a safety bundle, I'm specifically talking about 100% of mask wearing throughout our entire environment, making sure that we have hand sanitizer always available within 10 feet of anybody that's around in the classrooms, making sure that we have the proper rhythm of cleaning going on so that we have extra sanitation and disinfecting going on throughout our classrooms, and that we're always creating as much distance as possible, anywhere from that 3-foot distance to the 6-foot to the 9-foot, depending on the different settings that we have. So that safety bundle is important to us. That goes along with everything that people are doing, not just in school, but at home as well. So we hope those lessons help us to make informed decisions in the future. As you know, we are engaging our community in community conversations right now, and hopefully you'll partake in that and sign up for a community conversation. And you can do that by signing up through communityconvo@masonohioschools.com. These conversations are a way for us to hear our community, to listen closely to what our community wants in terms of our future direction. This is something that we have done for the last couple of years, and it allows us to be an agile organization, meaning we're able to continue to evolve and iterate based on the needs and the values of our community. And so it's so important for us to engage. We've had so much great feedback already from our teachers about next year's model. We've had great feedback from our families already hearing it, what's working and what's not working this year that we can improve on next year. And that's something that we really value, is that feedback allows us to be better tomorrow than we are today. And that goes right back to our culture guide and right back to what we believe here at Mason City Schools. So if you would like to participate in that, please send us an email to communityconvo@masonohioschools.com and help us to create that, what we would call an inspired, innovative, inclusive model for learning next year that's agile, that has components that take into consideration the things that we think will most likely be in play next year. For example, COVID-19 is going to be in play next year. We don't know what that's going to look like exactly, but it will be here in some form or fashion. We know there's going to be vaccinations that are going to be in play. We know there's most likely going to be masks. We know that there's going to be some level of distance that's still probably needed in our classrooms. So all these are factors at play that we're trying to build into next year's model, but also improve on the things and the lessons that we're learning from this year. As we come to the close of another week's update and a close to a wonderful semester, and it's been a hard semester, but it has been wonderful to see our community come together and to continue to work on solutions to keep our kids learning, engaged, whether you're online or in person. I'm just so grateful. I want to leave you with a couple thoughts. First of all, I have encouraged our staff to unplug over the break. I've encouraged them to find rest and renewal so that we can return strong in the new year. So if they're not as responsive to an email or to you reaching out, it's because I have encouraged them to unplug, to turn things off, and to just spend time with their loved ones. And I encourage you to do the same. Find habits that are healthy for you and your family that you can unplug, that you can find that renewal. As you're thinking through your habits over the next 2 weeks, I encourage you to practice safety. Safety for our community. You know what works. We've shared it with you and you know that as well, and I encourage you to stay strong in that. I want to give you a couple practical examples from the Cooper household. You know I have 4 kiddos, and we've all had lots of conversations about how to live with COVID-19 and what does that look like in our world, and how to do that thoughtfully for our community, but also do it thoughtfully for our mental health and our relationships as well in our neighborhood. I have a daughter, and she really finds her joy in relationships. That's just who she is. She's full of life, but that's what fills her cup. She has great friends in our neighborhood, and we allow them to play one-on-one or in a small, really small cluster group that they can play with. And they've been playing together all the way since last spring. And so we've talked to the other families and tried to be very thoughtful about that and being outside. Well, now that it's getting cold, we've had to talk that through and what does that look like? So we tried some FaceTime and did some of that. But we just had a conversation recently to allow them to wear their masks in our home. I know that sounds weird and it might sound like a big step, and some people would definitely not be for that, and I encourage you to do what you're most comfortable with. But if they are getting together, we know that works in our schools, and so we were able to be comfortable with that, now seeing the data that we would allow her to have one friend over to do that and have their mask on. And we watched them and they had a blast, and it filled their cups and they were safe the whole time. They took mask breaks outside and they were very thoughtful in that. Our kids are amazing. One other example, my boys are involved in multiple sports, and that's something that really fills their cup, and we try to do that as safely as possible. So we talk to our boys about, hey, when you're on the sideline, make sure you have your mask on. The only time you should never have your mask off is when you're on the court. So be thoughtful about that. Well, when we were doing carpooling on the way home, we thought about, should we not do carpooling, should we? And so we just made the decision to make sure that everybody that's in the car, if it's not the same family, we have our mask on. So those are just 2 practical examples. Hopefully that helps you and encourages you. We can continue to move forward together, but let's do it thoughtfully, using the science, using the data that we have to keep each other safe. And I would just end it with this. I wish you a happy holiday. I hope that you do find time to connect with others, whether that's virtually or with your loved ones in your home, but find time to rest and take time to reflect. 2020 was hard, but 2020 had a lot of moments of joy, of times of perseverance, of examples of gratefulness, of seeing a community come together to do amazing things. So don't just write it off as a horrible year, even though it was tough. There are amazing things that happened, and those amazing things came out of community. I encourage you with that. We'll see you back in 2 weeks in 2021.
That's a wrap.
Oh, great. Oh, I forgot one thing. Hey, Joel, if you're out there, I know you said you watch all the videos. You're a 6th grader. You know who I'm talking to. I hope you have a wonderful break. Thanks for watching our videos.